Oh, how you doing, buddy? It is absolutely bucketing down here. I don't know if you can hear the rain in the background. Oh, really? You can't hear it then? Okay, good. Can everybody else hear me? Just want to check because I know other weeks people haven't been able to hear me and oh, cool. I'm super, 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 super excited about today. I'm always excited about Tuesdays, to be honest. I love doing this weekly update. Um, yeah, there's always so much going on as well, and I finally feel like we're getting to the point where the things ahead of us, we've got like a very intense sort of few weeks, but the things behind us are starting to mount up a little bit now. Obviously, we're now starting to get into like additional features rather than core functionality, and yeah, but it's yeah, I'm super excited about our roadmap. Actually, I can't wait to share that later on in the call. Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Same. Yeah, I'm super excited about this one because I think it's an exciting time when you're launching new things and you're doing a pre-sale and you've got the token. But I'm actually really looking forward to like the and you'll see with the roadmap there'll be a more sort of B2B cadence around what we're doing as we develop and expand as a business, and that's yeah, that's super interesting. So yeah, but it'll all become clear. We always do 5 minutes of general chit chat, by the way, just to give people the opportunity to come in. So if you're wondering why it sounds like a budget talk show at the moment, we're just giving people a chance to get in. Oh yeah, no. Tony says he can hear the rain now. Yeah, it's brutal. It's been the UK um it's over 30 degrees Celsius. It was yeah, it was it was full on. But now there's a bit of rain, but it's good because it's been pretty hot. Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. All right. So we are 5 minutes in. Have we done the pings? Just checking we've done the pings and then we'll get moving. Okay. Fantastic. Um, cool. So we've got a full mix of things today. As usual, we'll start off with a bit of a development update. Lots of juicy updates there, actually. And then we do have some information and update around our pre-sale, which I know everybody gets super, super excited about. We're going to then punctuate the middle. Frida would take over and do his weekly giveaway. We've got to do is share an option, share the hashtag, which I can never remember, and you get on Frido's wheel, and it's a little bit of fun in the middle of this session. And then we've got the roadmap update and a big update around perps trading rewards as well. So yeah, so it should be super interesting. If you I was thinking if you collected like all of the announcements that we've done over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think most projects, 4 or 5 months, most projects, wouldn't sign up to a weekly update over such a long period of time. We didn't sign up to a weekly update over such a long period of time, but obviously it's taken more time. And but we've continued, but we've still had almost every week really interesting things to share. And it's I don't know if anyone's noticed it. Like I think a good example of that is if you look at the site at the moment, if you go on to our options platform on the site, you'll be able to see. I can't see. Um, we've updated. We actually we need to update a little bit more actually because we need to do an announcement around Mexi and Gotbit now. Actually, both of those agreements are largely signed, let's say, just one of them going backwards and forwards with T's and C's and stuff, but the agreement is done. Yeah, but you can see, if you look, for instance, sort of like pre-full launch, Arbitrum, PIF, Bitmart, Dex Finance, Arbidex, Certix, Synapse, Halborn, Kaiko, Chainlink, Hacken. I feel like there's somebody missing off of there. But yeah, so huge amount of like partnerships, for instance, and we've got many more to come as well. So yeah, but this week we'll yeah. This sorry, I was distracted by your comment. Yeah, Certic on there as well. So yeah, this week will not let you down. I'll guarantee you that. So moving, very good, very good. Yeah. Not financial advice, but Frito signals are proving very popular. And yeah, there's a lot of MDB OGs here, and yeah, MDB OGs are missing out big time. And a few people have smelt the juice, and they're off, and they're moving quickly, and they realise that there's something big to be had there. So you don't want to leave it too long. You sit on your hands, you're going to be left behind. Other people are going to be picking up all the prizes. So um, so let me start off then with the development update, which we always go first with. So obviously last Friday, it's crazy because it always feels like we've been doing it for ages, but it was only last Friday that we launched Perps into public beta, so we haven't yet had a full week. Obviously, despite the June dashboard, that there's several people, by the way. Thank you to everybody that sort of like helped out with that, and obviously Carlo for taking the lead. Super helpful. But we really what we've had 1.5 full sort of like working days because weekends are very quiet with Perps being live. So super early at the moment. Um, uh, in terms of launch, perfectly fine. Some minor fixes naturally and some little improvements that are coming. So people are noticing updates every day. We've got a bit of work to be done around sort of like profile and stats page. You'll see, for instance, as well, like the leaderboards have been updated. You can see rewards live, changing all the time live as well. And those numbers are going to start to scale very quickly over the next few weeks. So yeah, so we're in a really good place actually in terms of perps. Just so people understand what's going on as well. Because at the moment, whilst we're saying, wow, look at June and look at what we're doing and it's growing and all of this, which is fantastic. And some people are engaging, which is super helpful. And we haven't even really pushed any of the marketing yet. Um, the numbers look great, but actually it's a very sort of like it's a very controlled environment still. So the maximum collateral at the moment is $300, and that's with maximum 50x leverage, and we will be raising that. So we're still within sort of like quite a control period. The reason we're running it like that because it's really important that you kind of put the platform under load, put the platform and the PLP under sort of volume load, monitor the platform, try and pick up on anything whilst the stakes are much smaller, and then we're scaling that. We're happy at one stage, and we move to the next stage. If we spot anything kind of that we're unsure about, then it gives us an opportunity to pick it up in a relatively safe environment. So we're going to continue that scaling process, and keep monitoring sort of like the behaviours of the platform and the PLP. So we do expect to take another step actually, and we'll be upping that to a $500 minimum trade limit with 50x leverage. So people will be able to place up to $25,000 positions actually. Hopefully by the end of today. On the PLP side, so we're up to around $350,000 of TVL. MDB is the largest part of that. We're keeping. I've seen a few people ask questions about this. Just a reminder, we're keeping the PLP, and we're doing a big update on documentation this week. So that'll be published, and it helps sort of like explain sort of like phase one, phase two of what we're doing on a few items. But we're keeping it 100% USDC for the foreseeable future. And we're expecting sort of the PLP with sort of commitments and deposits that we've got to be around 1 million by next week. The PLP is performing fine as planned. Is making money at the moment. I think naturally the PLP will get a bit of a hard time from traders when the market moves continuously in one direction, which it's been doing since yesterday morning. And then when it typically nobody knows when it pulls back, right? But it's functioning perfectly fine. It is up. It is making money. And we've got no concerns whatsoever. Just for clarity again, the reason that we're keeping it 100% USDC at the moment is one, because we want like a very stable like-for-like environment during this phase, and we want to be in a position where we feel like we've completely perfected the rebalancing formulas and process, because the rebalancing is any the rebalancing basically of the USDC, Bitcoin, and ETH. There's a decision that has to be made when you rebalance, and if you get that very right, then there's upside. If you get it wrong, then there's risk, right? So it's important that we have zero risk and we have upside, and that's also then the revenue generated for the PLP just by it rebalancing those assets. Even if there wasn't any trading volume whatsoever, the idea is that the PLP rebalances. So it would have DCA'd as the market crashed yesterday. It would have owned more Bitcoin and Ethereum. When the market pumped, it would have reached a point and it would have recalibrated, and it would have done that probably a couple of times in the last 24 hours, right? And when it does that, what it's doing is effectively DCAing into those blue chips on the way down, and then it's coming out of them at a value higher than they went in. So therefore, the pool, whilst the pool naturally would have appreciated because Bitcoin has pumped quite a bit in the last 24 hours, it also would have appreciated from that process of the market moving down, then the market moving up, because it would make more on the up than it lost moving down. So we need to make sure we have that absolutely right. And there's also the question of USDC native pairs. So we need USDC with Bitcoin, USDC with Ethereum, and the native pairs, the liquidity on Uniswap is not as deep as we would like at the moment. Although every day we're seeing the liquidity move across from USDC.E across to USDC on the native pair. So we built on USDC native because it's building for the future. Many other platforms have got USDCE, and that's the third reason why we're kind of taking this approach. So it will be USDC for the foreseeable future, and that's the reason why. Okay, just a couple more updates on development, and then I'll let people ask questions. So affiliate system is live and functional. Reminder: anybody can use the affiliate system to get 10% off of your referees of their trading fees, and they also get 5% that they're able to claim in rewards. And if you're an official affiliate with a large audience, of which we've got about 60 signs, we're in the process now rolling out all of the affiliate links to those guys. You could imagine that with this community of affiliates, it's gone very quiet, right, for the last few months. Very difficult for those guys. They don't have something to go out and push. Now we have the raw material, so we're just putting a light under that community again and kind of sparking that off. So you'll start to see Foxify again popping up across different places as affiliates start to mention and share with their community. So affiliate system is live and functional, and anybody can get involved in the affiliate system. There are minimum requirements. So you need a certain number of wallets, certain number of volume before the affiliate rewards will kick in. Paper trading is also imminent because now we're on mainnet. It means that our testnet application is now freed up effectively, and we're going through some checks. Possibly this week, it could be next week, that then we'll launch paper trading on the academy as well. So a great place for beginners to come along and practice. Cool. So that's all of the development updates. One other thing. So just in terms of what's next, so Optatrade is really, really important for us. Obviously, if you've been to any sessions like Halborn today, for instance, we talked about our strategy is heavily focused around user experience. So Optitrade super important. So aside from sort of a few things that we've got going on, like some API development, we've got APIs for both perps and options are both in testing at the moment, actually. So they're published, but they're published in private, if that makes sense. And then we'll be focusing on Optitrade experience, which is super important. It's a huge part obviously of our narrative and our story, but a huge part of our strategy as an organization is having sort of that super easy use. So after that, what's really important actually is that we get the token contract sorted in the next few days, because it's there's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario. So you want to go on the RDO calendar, you have to list the actual pre-sale page. You can't go on the pre-sale page until you've actually got a contract address. So we've got this sort of like a chicken and egg scenario. So it'll be Optitrade. We're focusing on, from a solidity point of view, focusing on the token, and then obviously the staking contract needs to come pretty soon afterwards. So good place in terms of development. We've got a couple of niggles like you would expect, but touch wood, we seem to be in a pretty good place, and we're starting to build traction already, which is fantastic. And we've got some big buttons being pushed. I keep saying this. I know every week I'm like, look, the marketing's coming. I sound like some, like, 100k market cap coin who's saying we're going to spend 5 BNB in marketing. Come on, jump in, guys. But we've just been sitting on our hands, holding back until you got the Perps platform live. People can land on there, they can trade, they can get their affiliate link, they can go and share. It's a whole cycle that has to start. And if people hit it and then bounce off, and those things aren't there to engage them, then it becomes a very expensive use of marketing with very little return. So big buttons being pushed, and we're in a super good place, ready for all the new people to come through the doors. So happy to answer any questions around product or development, and take a breather. It will be USDC. Cool. No questions around development? I know everyone's in this industry because they're so passionate about the technology. It's in our thoughts. It's not on the roadmap at the moment, being completely honest. It's in our thoughts. There's other things that are a bit more of a priority. Carlo wants to sell memberships, so you can follow him. Yeah. Very good. Good. So we'll move on to a topic that's always super popular, which is the pre-sale, and we have an update on pre-sale actually. So we've taken stock quite a lot in the last week. The things that we have today, so the affiliate system and the Perps platform, are all things that we'd kind of said, look, hard stop for those is end of August. If we don't have them live by the end of August, then we're kind of putting ourselves in a position where our pre-sales on the 21st. Realistically, how much runway do we have for our marketing really to take effect? And you want to be massively oversubscribed. You want if you've got one token to sell, you want demand for 10, because that is just going to create a lot of interest also in your launch as well. And there's a lot of big names that will be sharing Foxify over the next few days, but they are starting now rather than starting on sort of the 1st of September, which is where we expect it to be. So we've taken the decision to move pre-sale back a bit. There was some people thought we should move it back even more, but we've taken the decision to move pre-sale back to the 28th of September. Still pretty tight, but we know that we're pushing the button on everything right now, actually. So brand packs are going out, all tasks have been agreed, payments are made, etc., etc. So, the wheels are starting to turn right now. So pre-sale will be, this is hard lock now on the 28th of September. There are no reasons why we would change this now. Like I say, let's be honest, we got Perps live in public beta on Friday, which is what, ninth was the 8th of September. So we were over a week behind with already a tight schedule. So we've taken the decision that you only get to do it once. You can't go back and say, we should have kicked it back a week. So that's what we're doing. So now that puts in a bit of a difficult situation because we'd we'd always planned to do the TGE the week after the pre-sale, and what we don't want to do is push the pre-sale back by a couple more weeks. Okay. Now the issue that we've got is that the team is in Dubai the first week of October, or a big chunk of the team, and you don't want to be in a position where you're at an event, trying to run an event, you're mobile, and you're trying to launch a token, right? Because if something isn't right, we're launching directly on central exchanges. There's vesting and staking contracts and things like that. You just cannot take any chances, and the amount of exposure that we've invested in for the platform, it would be lunacy to then take any risk that something could go wrong because we're not completely focused on the job in hand, which is launching the token. So we took the decision to launch the token on the 10th of October so that we're back at base wherever we need to be. We're glued to our desks and focused purely on what we need to do and not trying to run an event at the same time. So token pre-sale was locked in 28th September. Pre-sale platforms are so Sphere, not Sphere Finance. As much as we'd love to do something with them, it's a different Sphere. So that's already locked in. As soon as we've got the token contract, we can generate the page on Genpad as well, and then we'll be running one sort of in partnership with Arbidex. So so 28th. Any questions on that from anybody? And happy to sort of like fill the room as well. I know we're all chomping at the bit to get it done, but you only pre-sales and token launches are a bit like first impressions. You never get a second chance, so we need to get it right. Cool. Nice to see Austin here as well. Good to see you, buddy. Cool. Okay, over to you then, Frido, for the fun bit.
Frido, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. So maybe leave and come back, Frido, because
Yeah,
I can hear you fine.
because also other people can't. Yeah, thank you.
I've just got dots at the moment. I could answer a question whilst you're just loading that up. So there's a question around where's the token launching first. So the token will launch first on MEXC. It's a sensible thing to do to get price discovery. Our plan will be um, our plan will be that the 30% will drop to wallets 24 hours before we do the token generation of it. So you shouldn't be scrattling around. Yeah, you can sell them straight away, watch it moon, and then wish you had them in your wallet. I can't see it. Can anybody else see it? No will. Yeah. Did you click on the screen? I find when you click on the screen, that brings it up. Oh, Real Hope can see it, but Real Hope has like, yeah, he's got talents. He can see everything. So if you, yeah, I clicked on it and it's not working for me now. Now Carlo's saying that he can see it. Frido, could you just quickly DM me if you remember what was the next thing on the list? I want to make sure we got it in the right order before we go into the roadmap update. Apologies, guys. I think I'd updated last week's notes to this week, and then I've accidentally somehow turned it back into last week's notes. So the first half fine, second half problem. No, that was last week's. That's last week's. You're yeah, yeah. Don't worry. That's fine. That's fine. I thought you would have known from our meeting earlier, but it's fine. It's fine. So sorry, guys. Bear with me 2 seconds. I just need to dig out our other notes. Okay. So it's the perps trading rewards update, isn't it? And then we'll move into the roadmap. Cool. Yeah, thanks for the support, guys, in the chat. We have taken the decision that the USDC rewards program is not going to change. We are looking at the option side, just as an FYI, to give everybody sort of like a bit of a heads up. It's always difficult with these things, right? Because you come up with an idea, you've got a vision, you put it into practice, and then you've got to kind of see how it takes. And actually, we see a big opportunity on the perp side. On the option side, I think it's questionable whether the structure that we've got at the moment is driving any behaviors. If it doesn't drive any behaviors, it's not helping us, right? It's not helping me, you, the team, anybody. And everything we need to do needs to help move us forward. So options we're reviewing at the moment. Potentially, maybe the outcome of that review might be that we really tighten up the number of people that qualify. To be fair, know, you've only got to get down to sort of 30 people and the numbers start to get negligible anyway. So it makes sense to maybe roll up, kind of like we did with the airdrop actually, is roll it up into a smaller number of people to make it more interesting. Because if there's a smaller number of people doing a larger amount of the volume, then you want to motivate those people. So that's under review at the moment. On the perp side, so nothing's changing in terms of the USDC, but what we will be doing is is we're going to be setting minimum prizes for the top five. And what we mean by that is it's a minimum, but if the organic USDC rewards exceed the minimum, then you would receive those. Okay. So I will share what the minimums are. And so this is for the top five on the leaderboard, and we need to update the UI as well. So bear with me 2 seconds. Uh, and it will be so fifth place. We will give a guaranteed, and this will be split USDC Foxify, and it will be paid out. It will be paid out at the end of beta slash token launch, and that's when the USDC would be paid out, and the Foxify would be vested over 4 months, just like the airdrop and pre-sale. Okay, so we don't want to kind of like break this sort of like mantra that we've got, where absolutely everybody that's involved in the project is vested in one form or another. So we'll put that into an announcement. So for fifth place, there will be a guaranteed minimum of $750. So that's fifth place on the Perps leaderboard. Fourth place on the Perps leaderboard will be a guaranteed minimum of $1,250. Third place on the Perps leaderboard will be a minimum of $2,000. Second place on the Perps leaderboard will be a minimum of $5,000. And first place on the Perps leaderboard will be a minimum of $10,000. Okay, so that will be split 50% USDC, dropped at end of beta slash token launch, 50% Foxify vested over 4 months. However, if the organic USD total, and you can see that the rewards are already after just a couple of days, we're already starting to build up. I think when we first put the rewards on there, number one had 10 cents, and now they've already got $2 in a couple of days. So that as more and more people are fighting for those positions, and more and more people start to come through the doors over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see more people engaging in the platform, and you'll start to see that number accelerate very quickly. So if the USDC number, for instance, for fifth place was $780 on the leaderboard, then you would get $780. But if it's, if it's less than that, then you'll get the minimum amount. Okay, so that's super interesting. Big leap by the team. One thing I would say is don't get caught sitting on your hands. There is going to be people coming through the door in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, in the next 3 weeks. A lot of the care workers we're working with, some of them have got 6 month sort of commitments working with us. Absolute minimum, people have got commitments running over the next 6 weeks. So there's going to be a huge amount of content. If I had to put my finger on it, I would say there's somewhere in the region about 65 KOLs, and we are going to be seeing in the region of, over the next 6 months, I think we'll be seeing in the region of maybe 750 pieces of content. So it's pretty big. So that's all going to be people that are coming in, new eyes, looking at it, and they'll be going for it. So if you're here now and you're listening to this and you're hearing it first, then you have an opportunity to get up that leaderboard and start making a bit of headway before other people start chasing you down. So not financial advice, but just a heads up on that. Yeah, no, good share there. Thank you. Good. Cool. So, Happy Peterson's here. Fantastic. This is for perps. Yeah, this is for perps. We're, like I say, we're reviewing options because it's important. There's no point. You have to be pragmatic. I don't want anyone to feel like we're changing the view on them. But if you're doing something that isn't working for the business, which isn't working for me or you, then you need to be pragmatic and say, okay, well, we need to look at it. So we're looking at the options for rewards as well, and but we'll kind of see. But this is purely for perps. Cool. I see some people who are already near the top of the leaderboard are pretty happy, so yeah, not surprising. Cool. Okay, so I'm super impressed, by the way, because there's somebody that I'm talking to in DMs at the moment about something really technical. They'll know who they are, and I have 11 unread messages, but they're sat here in the audience at the same time. So they're doing a bit of a technical review for us on something. So yeah, like kudos to you. You know who you are. I'm super impressed. So let's move on to the roadmap then. No questions on that, by the way, from anybody. There's a few comments there and a couple of gifts as usual, but no questions from anyone. Sure. Okay. So yeah, rebates and rewards, absolutely. And obviously there's a bit of a promotion going on in MDB at the moment as well to try and support and engage the community there. So if you're minimum millionaires club member within MDB, you've also got your own little competition bonus going on over there. So yeah, there's never been enough to motivate people. So moving on for the roadmap update. So I'm just going to share sort of the images and talk through what each of them are, and then I'll share the whole roadmap. So this is so so the things on this roadmap is going to take us from being a group of people that are very ambitious, love what we're doing, and very. And by the way, Virgil, sorry, I've got to stop saying that the PFP, the NFT is ugly, is very offensive because that's actually my profile picture, and I like the little fox. So like, you got a problem with the fox, you got a problem with me. So but we maybe talk about that offline. The Oh, yours is fugly, yes. um I thought you were digging my fox out. So yeah, so I'm going to share each of the individual ones. look, ultimately what we're building here is more than just a trading platform. It's a user experience. It's it's a way of utilizing liquidity in a super efficient way, and obviously there's a token there as well that's a utility token and offers a mix of real yield and native tokens as rewards for staking. But on top of that, we've got much bigger ambitions in terms of how we build the business out. We've been doing a strategic review over the last like 6 to 8 weeks to really understand, what strategy can we have to make sure that we're not sitting around waiting for a bull market. How are we going to be successful? And so we've thought very hard about. We see the strengths and weaknesses across decentralized trading. Some of that is obviously funneled into the design of our platform and the features that we're rolling out. But also a lot of that feeds into our strategy. So the first thing, anyone that's from MDB won't be, we'll feel like maybe it's deja vu. But anyone that's not from MDB, I'll talk as if you don't know what we're talking about. So the first thing on our roadmap um, is perps gravity. So anybody who doesn't know what gravity is a concept. Despite all of the copycats out there, and I feel very strongly about it, it's a concept that I developed even before MDB launched last year, actually, and we did our first gravity actually the day that MDB launched, and there's still some fantastic people here, like Real Hopes here I can see, that came in actually from that very first project that we um, that we gravitated, and that was actually the first of 11 so far that MDB is gravity, and gravity is that this industry is low barrier to entry. Everybody's having a crack, and it's very difficult to find an exit door, right? And the chances are in this industry, projects do fail. But we've probably lived in a bit of a bubble through the bear market because we've bucked the trend most of the time. And actually, you pop your head out there, it's pretty rough. It is pretty rough, and so it's a tough place for other people to operate. And we've never been one to run with the pack. We're always one that's trying to buck the trend and go in the opposite direction as everybody else. So yeah, the way gravity works is that you absorb the resources of the project um, that you're gravitying, if that is the right word, and you also obviously absorb lots of their community and followers, even people like I think Kov Tomas, who's here, another sort of like notable and super engaged person here within this community. I think we really built sort of that relationship with him through one of our latest gravities, which was Space DeFi. So yeah, it's one of the secrets of success of MDB. Actually, last year, obviously we faced many challenges like everyone in the industry, but being able to acquire new users, more community, more activity, more exposure gives you a lot of visibility as well because your name gets banded around many communities and people have to come in, and at the same time there is a really strong sort of like economic value to doing it as well. So I was gravitating 11 projects. Now when I started to look at decentralized trading, you obviously look around at your competition. The first place you look is at the top of the tree and you think, well, hang on a sec, look at these guys, look at GMX, look at DYDX, give me a little bit of that and we're all going to be rich, right? Who doesn't think that? You start to go down the list and you realize that actually there really is like it's not even an 80-20, it's like a 95-5 with perp dexes. And even more than that, there's a new one coming every week. There's a new one coming every week to try and take a slice of pie that's just been getting smaller and smaller throughout the year, right? And you say we're one of those, but we're building something very different. You'll see by the end of this roadmap that our strategy is very broad, and we're not just copycatting a platform that already exists and thinking, okay, well, one's done well before, we're going to do well. We're coming to change the game and do it differently. But at the end of the day, many of our peers are already staring down the barrel, and there's going to be more of them. So I would strongly predict, you're going to see probably, maybe a perps dex a week, I reckon, before long will be going bust or at least becoming dormant. And the analogy I always use is a bit like a planet that's lost its atmosphere, and gravity is an opportunity for us to absorb the resources of that planet, put it to good use, and the mass of our planet increases and the gravity of our planet becomes even stronger with every time we do it. Underneath it, there's a very serious economic opportunity as well, because typically, if you look at, say, the 10 worst performing perps dexes out there, they all have liquidity. Yeah. They're not like we've gravity projects that have like 10K liquidity in them. But it's almost everybody has at least 100k liquidity, and there's a lot of people between 100 and 500k, which is not insignificant. Look at the volume we've been doing. We've only got 350k in the PLP. So you go off and you gravity 3-4 projects that have got 250k. Suddenly you're really starting to change sort of the exposure level and the picture of what you're doing. So yeah, that's an ongoing process. It's got a very different sort of like flavour to how we've done it in the past when we did it with MDB, and it can be hugely successful for us. So I'll stop banging on about that, and I will move on. Happy to answer any questions just while I pull up the next piece. The next piece I'm super excited about, because I feel like talking about gravity is talking about something that we already know to a lot of people that already know it, whereas the next thing is super fresh and exciting. So if there's no questions, then I'll move on. So Berg's asked a question. So regarding the pre-sale NFT holders. So pre-sale NFT holders get 100% of the value plus 10%, and yes, it will be automatically staked and then vested out to you. So you could just leave it staked, or as it vests out to you linearly over 12 months, then you'd be able to obviously, if you wanted to sell some of your tokens, you're more than free to do that. Oh, you have? Sorry. I do apologize. Cool. Should we move? So I'm happy to announce the next part on our roadmap, that as soon as we get launch out of the way, we'll be moving forward with earnest, is the Foxify Accelerator Program. And the Foxify Accelerator Program will have two options to it. It's fundamentally a listing and marketing package that we offer to other projects that are looking to be accelerated, and we'll also be offering sort of a third party package where we offer PR, ad campaigns, and also growth hacking support for new and up and coming projects. So if somebody has launched a project recently and you thought maybe their traction looks a bit sorry in the early days, then they would be able to come to Foxify. They would get a listing on the option platform. We call it an initial options offering, which Harley is very emotionally attached to. And at the same time, we would also offer market making services for them as well. So we'd offer market making services. They provide the liquidity, and and then we share in the profit of that as well. So it's a listing, a marketing package that number one, it provides also huge exposure for Foxify to all of the communities that we offer the service to, and our goal will be to get up to a cadence of doing 2 a month. Actually, that's our plan. We will start with a pilot because we need to test a number of different things. So I can go a little bit into the tech now. So if you think when you list a large blue chip token on our platform, then you've got the Pith Oracle and you've got the trading view chart, and everything works fine, right? And that's very scalable, what we've got today. However, when you're launching a Frido's dog token that's that's a brand new community, pumped up, and they're trying to get exposure, what we could do is offer Frido dog community a 1 month listing. We'll have a custom oracle which can track Frido dog token and people are literally trying to buy your token right now, Frido. And as soon as it lists on a DEX, actually, we have a custom oracle that starts to ping the DEX. Or like, sorry, as soon as you get something like DEX screener, for instance, right? And it can, or it can, no, it is actually the DEX, sorry, excuse me. So the custom oracle pings the LP on the DEX, and so it's calling a price every 30 seconds. So it's not super quick, but it is super dynamic because you can pick up anything. So we run that listing for a month. We provide exposure, AMAs, advertisement, other growth hacking support, and market making services on top of that. and Fredo Dog Token then brings exposure and also revenue into the business at the same time. So the accelerator program, like I say, we're going to start off with a pilot. We'll move to a phase where our aim in the early days would be to do one a month. So we'll have like this good focal point where it brings in new traders and new community members as well. And then we'll look to accelerate that to two a month. If it was hugely successful, maybe we can move beyond that. But a fantastic way of us being able to leverage actually our skill set and our platform and expand beyond just being a trading platform that offers sort of the 20 top tokens, which is still like completely in our sight. Actually, we'll have a very opposed sort of listing strategy for options. We've got a session on Thursday to talk about new listings actually, so I would come along and we'll talk about the accelerator program a little bit more on Thursday as well. But our strategy will really be opposed. It'll be on one side we'll be listing the biggest tokens with the largest volume and the largest communities and putting campaigns around them, and then we'll be offering this accelerator program, which is a paid service to other projects to leverage our platform, our community, and us help them with some exposure. Yeah. There's a good question there. So will you be hiring new people to run all these new initiatives? How big is the team at the moment? Our team is a lot bigger than it probably looks. So at the moment we've got if you some staff we have like on a short-term basis, but in terms of people that are dedicated to us full time at the moment, we've got 13 people actually. So in the background, so you know, once you've fired up your platform and you know, what you know, we've got a lot of resource. Look at what we've built and what we're launching, what we're doing over the next few weeks. It takes a huge amount of investment and resource, and that's what we've done. So we actually already have the infrastructure to deliver these things. We just need the time, and as soon as we get to launch, then we deploy that infrastructure. All of this is strategized out. You know, this isn't coming up with a picture because we've got to give an update. You know, we've got strategy documents, working documents. We've got, you know, the guy we hired in marketing a couple of weeks ago, but nobody knows who he is because his job isn't to come and talk to talk to you guys. He's in a meeting with Alice right now, working out our marketing strategies over the next few weeks to make sure that we get the most bang for our buck and we execute properly. So yeah, there's a lot more going on than you can see. Cool. Listing of yeah, so another great question. So Thursday we've got a focus session purely on this because it's just too much to cover today. So we'll be announcing a new listing on Thursday, and we will be going into detail on the accelerator program and how new projects can get listed. So if you're in a project that's small, up and coming, or they're looking to, you know, maybe they're big and they're looking to launch soon, and you want to make the connection, then maybe we can come up with a bounty for that as well. So feel free to make the connection. To devs from USA, our devs are from Europe, and not definitely not from the USA. No offense to the USA. Cool. Yeah, OXJ is our dev. Um, Cool. So moving on. So do people like that then? I'm absolutely buzzing about that. Having been on the other side of the table with all of these companies, I can't wait until we're offering sort of like this routine service to other people. It's a really good question. So accelerate a program on all chains or just one? Um, it can be on any chain actually. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So any project, any chain, we can offer the listing service because we can. You got to remember it's a synthetic environment. So as long as we can track on the DEX and we can track a price and we can feed it to the custom chart, and we have an options marketplace for them, it's not an issue. You're still trading USDC on Arbitrum, and yeah. So yeah, any token, any chain. We also have. There's also the opportunity. So we'll talk in a bit about cross chain and some of our ambitions there. And one of the things that we have the opportunity to do is to create a cross chain version of PLP, so that it's available on every chain. And yeah, there's something that we haven't nailed down yet, but what we could do is offer maybe special incentives to a project that pairs that uses PLP as their liquidity, and that PLP would be available on any chain actually. New project launching, if they want to be paired to something that's appreciating organically, but fairly stable at the same time, then they'd have the opportunity to do that and would incentivize people to do it. So yeah, it's a lot going on in the background there. Oh, good questions though. Good questions. So bear with me a second. Just going back to my notes. We need to speed up a little bit because I'm talking too much. So this bit, I'm buzzing about. I'm buzzing about because it's something that's been, I think it gets talked about a lot, right? Everybody talks about doing this, but the execution of it is always very people and resource heavy. And we've come at this opportunity in a way where we feel like, and everything is subject, yeah, quantum liquidity, but without the $150,000 cost. That's what we'll be doing. The next thing on the 3 out of 5. The first IOO, we don't know yet, Garlic. We don't know yet, but we have an idea of who we would use for the pilot. Yeah, we could probably join the dots. Probably a safe place where we could do a pilot. Cool. So number 3 of 5 is we'll be launching a decentralized prop firm. Now it's called a prop firm because it operates like a prop firm, but it's not actually a prop firm because it's all smart contract driven. It's completely decentralized. So the strap line for any trader, anybody here in this community, is that you can be a funded trader within 1 week, no KYC, no deposit. You connect your wallet to the platform. You trade with a minimum amount. You meet certain requirements and the platform will qualify you through to the next stage. We don't need to be interviewing people, having forms filled out, checking people's work. It'll all be smart contract driven. And once they become funded, get funded. The plan at the moment is that the first funding level is 2,000, but don't hold us to that. And once you're funded, it will use account abstraction technology, which sets the permissions, and then the trader is able to trade away. And as long as they meet more requirements, then they get access to more funding. Now, what makes this super, super interesting is also we'll connect a liquidity pool on the back end, and then the profits from the traders, which is completely decentralized. We're not actually a prop firm. It's a DeFi prop firm, but we're not actually a prop firm. It's just really almost like a SaaS model. The profits from the decentralized from the traders, will be split between the liquidity providers and the traders themselves. Now, this isn't something that you're going to turn on in 2 minutes. We've got the concept bottomed out. We understand how you would pull the technology together and how it would work. We need to put that into practice and run some pilots again in a closed environment. But yeah, so we'll be launching, and this will be in Q4. We want all of this done. November, I would like to see us in a position where we're moving into a pilot for the DeFi prop firm. But yeah, strapline, you can be funded within 1 week, no KYC, no deposit, no personnel management from our side, all 100% smart contract driven. I just want to share what that means. If you think about it from a business perspective, you're all super, super clever people. That's why you're in DeFi. But I'm sure you've probably worked it out for yourself. This is an environment where anybody connect to it, right? So, thousands of people from around the world can take their chance. Obviously, think about your local regulations, but ultimately, from our perspective, it's a smart contract service between parties. We're facilitating the opportunity for people to provide liquidity and earn from people that are trading using the funds that are provided within certain rules. And ultimately, for us as a platform, our interest is users, volume, fees. So we think that's a super, super powerful message. A lot of prop firms sort of propping up at the moment, excuse the pun. But at the same time, they're all centralized and there's lots of question marks around the way they operate and whether it's fair. There can be no questions of that on ours because it's all smart contract driven. It's all on chain. All of the rules are sort of hard and fast, and obviously the winner in all of this is Foxify. we have an idea, but you need to, it's really important that we've got some clever advisors that we work with, and their job is to try and break our concept, and so we have a model, and ultimately we're trying to break the concept at the moment. We do have an idea at the moment. The idea is that there would be 4 levels, so it'd be 2, 5, 10, and 25k, but you can move through the levels fairly quickly. But you can be funded within 7 days. You can have a $2,000 account within 7 days. Cool. Cool. So 4 out of 5. Sorry, apologies. I'm just coming back to the chat. So 4 out of 5 is cross chain deployment. So again, we've got this on a number of different fronts. So I've already talked about one there, which is chain agnostic PLP. So the ability to take our PLP token, it's available on every single chain, which means that rather than you go to a certain protocol like, I don't know, Jones DAO, for instance, you're trying to do something with Jones DAO because they're on Arbitrum, you can't do something with someone on a different chain. What it will provide is this this multi-chain version of PLP, which means that a project can use it as their liquidity, but it also means that people like yield optimizers, for instance, would be able to pick it up across multiple chains as well. So really means that PLP is something that people can build on top of wherever they are. Typically, the way liquidity pools work within the perp deck space is there's like this under a million, there's over a million, and quite often what we're seeing when we look at the data is that organizations kind of build decent liquidity, and if they don't build and hold decent liquidity, then they typically drop down very quickly, and as soon as you lose liquidity, you can't have trading volume, and it's a spiral that's extremely difficult to get out of. Obviously, the way we're constructed as an organization, we're not going to be in a position where our liquidity is going to disappear overnight, and so for us the only way to think is up. So we are engaged with sort of institutional providers. We do have options for up to $5 million of liquidity. At the same time, we'd rather sort of have flexible liquidity because we don't want to ruin sort of utilization levels as well. It's important that there's no point in having $100 million worth of liquidity that's hardly being used. So our plan is to try and find this sweet spot where you've got good levels of liquidity, obviously well into multiple seven figures, that it's utilized, and then also you're able to utilize it in other ways as well, which acts as sort of it's just yet another marketing vector and creates utility. So if projects are paired with PLP from Foxify, then it's advertising for Foxify at the same time. So there's a big part of cross chain. So we're working with a partner at the moment to talk about multi-chain trading. They have 4 chains at the moment and some technology that would allow somebody to land on the platform, connect, and then just trade from any chain. So if they've got USDC on Avalanche, they could just land on the platform and just trade away. Yeah, multi-chain trading is something that if we can pull it off, actually can come pretty quickly. And then we're also looking at a secondary chain for the options, which we talked about many times. We didn't really put it on the roadmap because people already know that we're looking at it, where we're looking for sort of lower gas versions, and also where we can work with a chain where Arbitrum is a fantastic chain for many different reasons. I think with our options, there's potentially an opportunity there to find a much lower gas environment. That's one, but also provide an environment where we're maybe the centerpiece for another chain. So actually, people are building around us, and there's huge value in that as well. So they're the 3 things in terms of cross chain. It wouldn't be a roadmap in DeFi if we didn't have cross chain on there as well. So happy to answer any questions, or we'll move on to number 5. Yeah, well, we calm down a little bit now. I'll be honest, my 2 favorite is the decentralized prop firm. The 2 things that I'm most excited about, the accelerator program and the decentralized prop firm. super excited about both of those. The other things are also super exciting, but I think in terms of like significant game changing things, then yeah, I'm super excited about those two things. Um, so number 5 on the roadmap is product development. So it's not super sexy because you would expect product development to be in our roadmap. So we've got sort of like feature additions that are coming over the next few weeks. I'll be completely honest. I think we will. We've been pushing very hard in terms of what we have on the platform. We may be in a situation where we have to pick our battles. Maybe we say, okay, we have opt to trade and we have leverage liquidity and LC25. Maybe we have to wait a little bit longer for it. I think we've got to decide which battles we want to pick. But anything obviously that we can't deliver within the beta, then we would put in the product roadmap. Um, the our focus really up until the end of Q1 2024 is we've already got a really clear view of what an options V2 would look like. To give you like a little bit of a teaser, it would include things like market orders. Yeah, so you would be able to say, okay, if Bitcoin gets to 25,890, then I want to buy Bitcoin up 0.25% in 1 hour. Yeah, so things like that, much more advanced. In terms of working the UX and the UI, it doesn't matter what you deliver, you always find things that you think you could optimize and improve. So we want to simplify the platform, but then also offer us the opportunity, obviously, to be able to support our accelerator partners as well. And yeah, so but most of the improvements are going to come around market orders and the ability to trade much more dynamically on both sides of the order book. So, for instance, at the moment, you can set a floating order on the sell side, but you can't set one on the buy side. So we would want to make sure there's a floating order option on the buy side as well. So you could come along as an option seller actually and see people saying, look, I would be happy to buy this option if someone would sell it to me. And so you choose to start the option by agreeing to sell to the buyer, rather than at the moment it's just one way where the liquidity is on the seller and the buyer starts the option. So you'll have the inverse effect. So we've got a whole list of advanced perps features actually. Um, Ultimately, our long-term goal is to get to a place where you land on the platform and it could be a central exchange for all you know. That's going to take time, but we'll be having sort of a second generation of the perps platform once we reach what we would call a production environment, and there'll be lots more advanced features to be added there as well. And we're also developing, pushing out a white label SDK. So what this would be, and this will also blend slightly also into the accelerator program, is something we can offer projects that we're working with. But ultimately, you would be able to take an SDK of the Foxify perps, or options, or both. We provide the SDK. You can brand it yourself. You can put it on your own website, and you earn a share of the trading fees. But ultimately, it'll be leveraging the liquidity within our liquidity pool, and anybody who deposits, for instance, in a PLP through that partner would be depositing in our liquidity pool, and anybody that was buying or selling options through that partner would be contributing to the core flow on our platform as well. So white label SDK actually will come before the other two things, I would think. And we've already got a couple of people signed up to host that on their sites. So yeah, fantastic way of being able to sort of like distribute out sort of the product and have a SaaS model to it, where we're able to drive sort of adoption and volumes through partners just by sharing some of the trading fees for them hosting it, and they can have it self-branded as well, so it's completely white label. Good question. Berg is like, I don't know where you're from, Berg. I was going to say like a British interviewer, but you're yeah, you'd be a great interviewer. Anyone who's British is like the Michael Parkinson of questions. But yeah, another good question from Berg. So Berg, you know what? Having done it 11 times, and I think one thing that we realised with Gravity is that you have to have a methodology, and you've got to remember what your product is for. Your product is for the holders, but your product is also for the project owners, because DeFi is full of like lots of hopes and dreams, and a ton of failures, right? And ultimately, you know, it's very easy for people to get in. It's very hard for people to get out. And so Gravity is a service for for project owners as much as it is as much as it's a service for the holders within that platform as well. So what's really important is that we have a really clear proposition, really clear methodology. One of the strengths of Gravity doing it with MDB, albeit you know there are other technical complications here, right? Because you're not just absorbing a token, so we need technology to be able to port liquidity into our own liquidity. What about if it's going cross chain? There's all sorts of things to consider and different sort of technical complexities that you haven't had with previous versions of Gravity that we've had. But that being said, a lot of the successes we had, I don't think we ever lost a vote actually. I don't think we ever lost a vote on Gravity, and a lot of that was from through the help of the community as well. Actually, I think you know I can think of one person that yeah. Anyway, I won't go into that, but ultimately, yeah, Gravity. We had a lot of success because when we turned up and we talked to people, I remember, for instance, one of our biggest gravities was Ooze. I think we gravitated around $450,000 of liquidity from Ooze, and um, and there was a lot of people, you know, a lot of people were in for that and pitching for it. But when we went in, it was clear that we'd done it before. We knew how to handle it. We had a clear methodology. We had these 9 steps that we knew projects to do, what they needed to do, and then they just handed off to us, and we handheld them through the process. And that normally with the teams, which is the right people to negotiate with, to be honest, the whole community vote thing always becomes an absolute cesspit. It was really having that methodology nailed down whilst at the same time being pragmatic and accepting that out of 11 there was never 2 that were anywhere near the same. I think the same will go for perps dexes, and that's why we need to have a really clear methodology, really clear process. You need to be able to move and execute quickly, and make it as easy as possible for the project owners. But you also need to have your eyes open and know that every situation is going to be slightly different and needs its own approach. Good question, though. Are each of these also supporting trade fee revenue that would then support MDB? Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, absolutely. Hello, there we go. Back. I'm back. Back. Yeah, so to answer the previous question, yes, of course, you know, we live and breathe for users, volume fees, and that output is only good for MPB. So, but yeah, absolutely, we're always looking for talent, KN. So, you know, if we don't need, even if we don't need talent in a certain area right now, you know, you have to plan for expansion, you have to plan for success and be ready for it. So, even if it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, we're always interested in talking to talented people. Oh, brilliant. ET update. Yeah. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that. Hopefully, I'm super, super stoked. I can't, whilst it's really exciting, pre-sale and launch and central exchange listings, all of this stuff, all the marketing that's going to come in the next few weeks, it's all super, super exciting. Is a hype machine. What I'm really, really excited about actually is looking forward to, building fundamentals and fundamentals that are going to ensure that Foxify is a success regardless of any external factors. Cool. The journey is just beginning, KN. It's just beginning. There we go. Yeah, a new start. Fantastic. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. Okay. Bye.